Hello and welcome to my studio journal. Now back in 2022, I started to redesign my home studio, shifting from software to hardware for the first time. What began as a few videos for some curious students soon became an ongoing unfiltered record. When you start doing this sort of stuff, you might get one synthesizer and say that's it, like I did with the Yamaha Mo DX. I thought, well, okay, that's the last synthesizer I'm ever going to get. That's the only one I ever need. It does 16 tracks all at once. It's a full-fledged synth that does absolutely everything I need. And then, of course, I came across the Roland FA06. And I thought, well, you know, it's one more. It does 16 more tracks. So that means I have a total of 32 tracks I can work with. So that's perfect. I don't need any more than 32 tracks. So this was the keyboard that was on my desk at one point, but I found that I used it more or less to find a sound, and I would tailor a sound and all that sort of stuff. Then I wouldn't use it much after that, because I had everything going through Ableton Live and things like this. Ableton Live, Logic, and all that. Now with this new setup, I'm actually planning on using the Akai Force to control everything. But yeah, so this was the last synth I needed. I also ran across somebody on YouTube, was using for the Akai Force an IKEA laptop stand. That's kind of what I got here. In fact, not only do I have one of these things, I got what, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got 8 of these because I found these are great for angling your keyboards and equipment like that on these shelves. Now, another thing is you might wonder, how come I have so many lights here? Well, it's not to make the place look nice. It's so I can actually read the labels and different controls that are actually on the synths themselves. So that's the reason why I have that. Now, also you might want to notice how light the wall is behind the drum set. Problem is when the keyboard goes on there, well, that's going to darken up quite a bit. So I have another plan for that. As I was mentioning before, with this particular shelf in here, I don't feel comfortable at supporting, well, it used to support the Native Instruments Control S61, which was much heavier than what the Roland is. But either way, it would be nice to have some extra support. So what I did is just simply have this piece of 2x2 that goes down straight down here to the ground to support it. And then I have this piece of wood right here that just slides underneath and acts as another support, making this thing really good and solid. So now when we put our two trays up here to hold everything in place, and I'll measure everything out later to center it up and all that sort of stuff. Then when we take our keyboard and put them on here, maybe take it out like that, everything feels like it's nice and supported. It's good. You can play it real easy. You can see it. Everything like that is pretty good there. But now if you look underneath the back wall there, is pretty dark. So what I'd like to do is actually lighten that up with, you got it, another light. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to attach another light out under there so that it'll hopefully lighten up this wall. I haven't tried it before, so we're going to see what happens, whether this actually makes a difference or not. Okay, we can see with the lights off, the light does make a little bit of a difference underneath the keyboard there. But the next thing I'd like to do is actually light up that wall a little bit more. And I'm going to do that by putting this 2x2 that's up there. It's just a painted 2x2, white 2x2 that goes up on, there's a couple of brackets up there. Plug them in and see how that turns out. Okay, so now the lights are installed above the keyboard. The pictures are hung, which makes it look a little bit better. I needed access to the water pipes back there, so I had to figure out a storage solution that would allow me to take apart things really easy so I could get to where I needed to get to, but yet would still function in the way that I needed it to function by holding all of the things that I have in places that I can get to them. I had to make sure that the lights were in places so that I could see the controls of what I was operating, and also maybe give me enough space to actually work with those things. I had a drum set. What was I going to do with this drum set? Well, I mean, there was only one place for it, one wall. That had to be this one. It had to be somewhere where, once again, I could just sit down and play. But where was I going to put the other keyboard? There wasn't a spot. So logically I had to put it above it. So I had to create my own shelf, one that would support the weight of the keyboard, but yet be easily accessible. So I mean, I can sit there and I can play this keyboard, just walk up to it and play it. I can walk up and play the drums. So all that's handled. But that was it. That was the last synth I was going to get, is the Roland FA. So that was it. But you know, come on, everybody likes to have a pad controller. But I didn't want to have a controller, so to speak. I wanted to have a standalone unit. Well, this was before the Machine Plus came out. And what I ended up picking up was, of course, an Akai Force. So this Akai Force was the next thing on the list. But that was going to be it. That was going to be all that I was going to get, is the Akai Force. All right, so I had my Akai Force on the main desk. Do we see a problem there? There is no room to put that if I was going to have the Machine Plus there. Okay, since the Akai Force couldn't be on the main desk because there's no room for it, but I still wouldn't mind using it over there, how was I going to do it? Well, I found this neat little stand, Pile Pro stand, that just happens to fit the thing perfectly. So what happens is I can put the Akai Force on this stand in almost a modular way, move it to the main desk if I want to use it, move it to the secondary production desk if I want to use it, over to the corner if I want to use it, to the piano if I want to use it. Wherever the power cord will reach, well, that's where I can put it. Okay, so when I started designing my studio, I really should have taken some time to figure out what goes where, not just because it looks good, but because it actually works. So now I have to redo my studio in a way that actually works, which is turning out to be a little bit trickier than I thought it would be. So I came across this stand here that I just got in, and this thing right here hopefully will fix some of the problems. What I'm trying to do is develop a studio that's based on the Akai Force, that's hooked up to absolutely everything, runs everything, but I have no place to put it. So hopefully this stand will cover that. Okay, as you can see, my studio is quite a bit of a mess here right now. But let's just take a look and see what this thing actually has in it. Definitely not a professional unboxing video. So this right here is the tray that's going to be. Let's see here. It comes with some paperwork, it looks like. That's some sort of stuff. So here's what the tray is. I'm not sure this tray is going to be big enough for what I want, but it'll certainly come in handy, I think, either way. And then let's take a look at what the rest of the stuff is. Okay, so this is the actual stand itself. Oh, looks like it's actually sealed at both ends. Won't be for long. Okay. So this is the main part of the stand. And I think then there's some parts in there as well. Oh, what else we got here? And we got these additional brackets and that sort of stuff. This will hold the top of the stand in place, I believe, is what these are for. And I think, yep, that's the extent of it. So I think it's pretty straightforward. As I say that. So it just stands up like this. This goes on the top, I think, like this. And, well, we'll see how this all works out. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is take this thing out to make it a little bit easier to work with. All right, we're going to flip the table part of it over. Put that down here for a sec. Let's put in these 4 screws. I'm just going to throw them in like this to keep them in there. If I rotate this thing around, then I don't have to worry about losing those screws. They can just stay right where they are. Once again, I have no room to work in here. All right. I believe those go like that. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one of these on right off the bat. Like that. We're going to put the washers down. Okay. Drag this over here. Oh. Okay. That's good. this on here. Whoop. Okay. Now, do is, oh, I lost a screw there. If you'd like to follow the full journey, check out my online studio journal linked in the description. Until next time, I'm just a music teacher having fun. Catch you on the next one.